కొమ్మె మహకు బప్ప ట్రస్ట్ করে চুজ করলাম। এব্বাফাহার vara bearing spend করলাম। একামাকু নুকরা।
Därför ringer jag ett se få där ni var gott och degen.
So I gave time for my dream. Thank you. I want that bike. Ahanna furatama fanu iro ti only a bike. Akam miharo ti mage first dream. And I built you saving 1 rufiya at a time. Komme mahaku bappa trust করে চুজ করলাম। এব্বাফাহার vara bearing spend করলাম। একামাকু নুকরা।
Därför ringer jag ett se få där ni var gott och degen.
So I gave time for my dream. Thank you. I want that bike. Ahanna furatama fenu iru tea only a bike. Akam miharu tea mage first dream. And I built you saving 1 rufiya at a time. Komme mahaku bappa trust kure choose kollam. Ebba faharu vara belum spend kollam. Ekamaku nukuram.
Därför engelta, et se foderni vagotudigen.
So I gave time for my dream. Thank you. I want that bike. Ahanna furatama fenu iru tea only a bike. Akam miharu tea mage first dream. And I built you saving 1 rufiya at a time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the lunch and had a chance to connect with fellow participants. We will now proceed to our third keynote address. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Afif Hussain, Executive Coach at the John Maxwell team. Mr. Afif is a renowned people and culture generalist and learning and development specialist with over 18 years of experience across 6 countries and has inspired audiences in more than 50 countries on service excellence, leadership, and organizational performance. A Harvard Business School executive education alumnus, he currently serves as Senior Director of Talent, Culture, and Quality Assurance at Lux Resorts and Hotels and collaborates closely with the Government of Maldives on national service excellence initiatives. He is also a founding member and vice president of both the Maldives Association of HR Professionals and the Maldives Professional Speakers Association. Mr. Afif Hussain's keynote is titled Regenerative Leadership from Performance to Positive Impact. Please welcome Mr. Afif Hussain.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. There are 2 reasons why I'm very happy that I got this spot to speak. Number 1 is right after lunch. And number 2 is I know we're going to have a great time together this afternoon. So let me ask a question. How many of you have had a great time so far from the morning up until now? Good. Now, the way I'm going to do my session is not just that I'm going to speak, but also I would like you to participate in this. So if you are seated alone in the table, you probably may want to have someone next to you, or you may want to get close to someone because you're going to have an interaction here and an activity around the topic we are going to be speaking about. From the keynote by Dr. Firdaus in the morning, and the panel discussion, and also Hassan, your beautiful keynote, of course, Madam Anissa, your sharing around the bigger picture of how we see this topic. Certainly, there are many things that I have learned. So my first question before I teach anything or I share anything is, what have you learned this morning? Right? What is one key message? Right? Like I'll tell you mine. My key message around, I think from all the sharings was, number 1 was around the way that the world is operating, not just in AI, in everything that we do. If you want to sustain it, you need a clear governance around it. If not, anyone can do something great once, but it's not going to last long, right? What about you? So I want you to take a moment and turn to the person next to you. Now you're in a group of 3, maybe 3 of you can speak together, right? So I see now there's no one alone, right? And it's great. So talk to the person next to you. I will give you 30 seconds. What has been your biggest learning this morning? From the 2 keynotes, the panel discussion, right? What has been the biggest takeaway for you? Ready? Go. 30 seconds, please. All right, come back, everyone. Come back. I noticed that some of you spoke to the person next to you. Some of you, when I asked you to speak, some of you went like this. You go, what did you learn? And then the other one goes like. So, the most important way that we learn is we also need to create the energy around. So I'm going to do a little energizer that's going to keep probably all of you awake and energized for the next 3 to 4 hours, which is until the end of today. Ready? Yeah, very good. So take your 2 hands up, everyone, like this. 2 hands up like this. Okay, yeah, very good, very good. High rise like this. And rub your hands together. Rub, and warm it up, warm it up, warm it up. And clap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Keep your hands like this. When I say go, I would like you to give high five to the person seated next to you. No, not yet, not yet. I see some of you are very active already here. Not yet. Before you give high five, could you ask from the person next to you, is it okay if I touch your hand? So if they say no, don't do it, okay? So what you almost go it, right? Yeah, because consent is very important, right? So rub your hands together, rub, clap 3 times, high five and say, please be my learning partner. Good. So show me your learning partner. Who's your learning partner? Good. So I saw some of you showed your learning partner like this, some of you went like this. The way you learn from conferences like this has a lot to do with the person seated next to you, because the person seated next to you is an intelligent person, a smart person. He or she also knows ideas that you may not know, right? So when I say go this time, I want you to take your 2 hands, turn to the person next to you, you're going to go like, ta-da, you are my learning partner. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Good, good. By the way, give yourself a round of applause, everyone. Great. We all would expect that the world to operate like this, as you see from the picture, right? A smooth ride. But that's not the world we are living in today. We're living in a world whereby there are so many different challenges that we have. Constant disruptions in the supply chain. I mean, geopolitical issues, since we all remember, there has always been some sort of a geopolitical issue. Probably some of these issues are a little bit more in the surface level now. Also starting from socio-economic issues whereby everyone is concerned about their own rights versus the rights of other people. So there's a lot of things that are happening in the world right now, from global warming to environmental issues. But we as leaders, everybody in this room here today, one of the interesting questions that we need to ask is that, do we want to continue living in a world, or do we want to continue living in a system where it is only good when things are good and going all right? Because I always say to people that if the world is operating normal, and if you achieve great results, you can't say it's extraordinary results. Because extraordinary results are achieved only when during extraordinary times. Because if all the flights are operating, if all the guest houses and resorts, everything operates, if all the economic activity works like that, right? If everybody has a job, zero unemployment, then you can't say, we achieved extraordinary result. No, you didn't. Because what is there something that came and challenged your status quo? This is where today's topic is important. Because we're talking about leadership and all the points that were highlighted earlier today by the keynote speakers in the panel discussion. I think leadership is a very important element around here. It's not only about sustainable leadership in today's world. It's about how can I create the type of leadership I want for the future. Because the world we are living, this is the role of a leader. I learned in very early stage in my leadership journey that when you become a leader, you will never have 2 same consecutive days. Right? It'll be different. I mean, today could be like, wow, great. Tomorrow, huh? Right? But at the same time, we must all remember the future. This is how the leadership is all about. Because the future leadership is all about how can I be a guiding light to many people around the world, in my team, in my organization, in my community, in my nation, or wherever I go and serve. This is your role as a leader. We can also create a culture like this in our organization, where there's no guidelines. So, I mean, everybody, guidelines is only what we say. So there's a lot of confusions around it, right? Some of you gave very interesting examples, like in the panel discussions and also in the keynotes around the governance. And I, totally agree on. And by the way, for many of you, how many of you here are academia? Like you work in the academic sector, research, teaching, most of you, right? I guess the rest of you probably are students or maybe. So I'm not an academia person, but I have a high respect and regard for academia because I'm a practitioner. That's what I've been doing for 20 years. So I basically take what you do and I look at and implement them and see if this works, if this doesn't work, right? And that's exactly. But a lot of our, the work that you do, we use in organizational performance to create that alignment, because the future leader is all about one who can create that alignment for every single one in the room. One of the important questions we need to ask as I teach about regenerative leadership, which, by the way, is a topic that has been in the world of academia also since 2010. And of course, in 2020, this has become a very big topic. Just a couple of months ago, I was in London, where the top academias in the world from Harvard Business School, Oxford, Cambridge, INSEAD, they came and they spoke about regenerative thinking for future, for business entrepreneurs, human resource leaders, and how can we look at this. So just to set some simple definitions around what I'm speaking today, the simple way to think about regenerative leadership is when you are given a responsibility to lead, how are you leaving your people, the place and the community at the end of your term, at the end of the responsibility? So let's take, for example, we don't need to go too far. Let's take the example of the Formula City Mayor, because he's seated in front of me. Easy example, right? I hope you won't mind me using him as an example. Regenerative leadership for the mayor would be, how am I leaving the city when my term ends? Did my people get better? Did I provide more economic opportunities? Did I create an ecosystem here? Or did I create a system that will fail the moment I leave? You get the idea here? And that's a choice we all have. Because sustainability and sustainable leadership, the term has been there for centuries. But in the late 1980s, this became a very important term, and sustainability was all about how can we reduce the harm, right? So how can we stop cutting more trees? How can we reduce the carbon emission, all these different things? But then today, the main topic in big companies around the world is regenerative leadership. Is all about how can I leave my community, my people, and what I'm doing in a better position than that I found them, so that the people who would come after me could recreate the whole idea around it. And this applies to every single one. If you're for example, academia in a faculty where you are in charge, how are you leaving your faculty at the end of your term, or if you get to be promoted to the next role? Take a deep breath, everyone. Ask the person next to you, does this make sense? Ask the person next to you, does this make sense? Because I know some of you may say, oh, well, but Afif, what will I do if I'm not empowered as a leader, right? I have met, over my years of practicing this, and now, of course, I teach around the world on this, I have met so many leaders. I met a leader that when I raised a question, the only thing he did was complain and complain and complain and complain and complain. Then I met another leader. I raised a question and a concern. He was telling me all the opportunities that he sees that he could make the difference. After a few years, I look back, those two leaders, the guy who told me about the opportunities, he was the one who made the difference. What type of leader you want to be? So let me give you 3 case studies around this. Hassan spoke a little bit about Microsoft, but my angle of this is a little bit different. It's about leadership. Microsoft, up until 2014, when Satya Nadella became the CEO, it was a multi-billion-dollar company. The value was somewhere around $350 billion at the time, so still very high-end. When he came into the company, the culture of the company was more about, we are Microsoft, we have built the world, we have built the ecosystem, we know it all, we don't need to follow Dell or Hewlett-Packard or IBM or anything, because we are better than anyone on the planet. Satya Nadella came and said, yes, we are. But is that the future we want to follow? Or do we have an opportunity here? Long story short, today Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, and their success has a lot to do with the leadership style of Satya Nadella. When he became the CEO, he was already a member of the organization for a long time. One of the first things that he did was, when he came in, he didn't try to change things. He tried to listen to people. He tried to understand what are some of the things that they know that he may not know. Because what's interesting that we have to remember around leadership is that leadership is something that changes all the time. And if we as leaders cannot create that culture, even regardless of this AI and whatever happens in the future, your people will not see the difference. Because the world is here not to be static, it is going to move. We as leaders, our role is also to follow with what is happening around and guide our people. Here's another case study. This is a bank from Singapore. Some of you, if you've been there, I'm sure you would have seen this is called DBS Bank, one of the greatest banks in Singapore and also in the world. Now, the interesting thing about this bank is, 14 years ago, they were not very, very popular. In fact, DBS, 14 years ago in Singapore, if you ask any Singaporean, what does DBS stands for? They would not say it's the Development Bank of Singapore, and they would say it's damn bloody slow bank. Yeah, because the service was crap. There's a new CEO came in, Piyush Gupta. In fact, just last year, a new CEO actually replaced him because usually they would change the CEOs every 5-10 years time. But this gentleman came in and he looked at the bank and he said, my God, we're very good in the things that we're doing. Why we can't do it better? Like what Hassan said earlier about NVIDIA, like Jensen, this guy came and said that, why not we cannot be the best bank in the world? Today, so when he took over the bank, it was about $15 billion net worth. Today is $150 billion. See the difference? Right? Amazing. But the biggest credit goes to him seeing things that were not already happening. In fact, they were the first bank in the world who was awarded as the best AI bank. Now, I know some of you may think, okay, these are great numbers. What does it have to do with the people? That's exactly what regenerative leadership is all about. Because you can't just create the numbers like this unless you focus on your people, you focus on your process, you focus on the products, you focus on the governance and ethics, all these different things. Because like the professor at the keynote, Dr. Firdaus said that you need technology. For sure you need it in today's world. You need people. To sustain this, governance is absolutely critical. Without this, it won't work. It won't last long. You may see a short-term positive impact, but the long-term idea and the definition, it comes all the way from what you do in the long run. So here's another example. Many of you probably know this Inder Nui, who is the former CEO of PepsiCo. PepsiCo obviously is a company that produced drinks way back when. But when she became the CEO, she looked at the idea of regenerative. How can I make this company a better company for the planet and the people? And in fact, when you look at PepsiCo's product line today, 60 or plus % of their products are healthy products that are produced not just for the consumer who likes to have sugary drinks, but also healthy drinks. The market value, the development, the talent pipeline, the culture is incredible. But when she came as the CEO first, everybody said that, who is going to put a woman like Inder Nui as the CEO of PepsiCo? In fact, the board didn't even believe. Luckily, for her luck, there was only one member in the board who actually brought her. So, he happened to support her. Right? So, these three stories tells us a story that, it's all about the leadership. It's all about what we do as leaders. Take a deep breath. Three stories, Microsoft, DBS, and PepsiCo. What's your key learning on these three stories? What is the common thing that you see here? Talk to your learning partner, 30 seconds, please. So the regenerative leadership idea, come back everyone, is when I'm given a role to lead in today's world, where things are moving very fast, and I like what Hassan also mentioned earlier, that we shouldn't only look at the numbers. It's absolutely true, because if you are a leader who is only making decisions based on looking at the numbers, you are far behind. You have to look for things that are not in there. And I was telling Hassan earlier during lunch, for those who may not know, my full-time job is in the hotel industry. And many years ago, we would do financial review meetings. And every meeting is our finance director just coming and telling things that we already know. So one day I said to him, when will you tell us something we don't know? And he goes like, huh? What do you mean? I said, tell us something we don't know, because we know the number because it's there. I said, for next month, we're going to do this differently. I said, you're not going to speak in the meeting. And he got quite offended by it. You know what finance department is like, right? Yeah. If there's any finance person, this is a friendly conversation here. I said, the department heads who are responsible for this are going to come to the meeting, and they're going to speak about their department. And they're going to ask questions. So our financial review became a storytelling meeting instead of a number meeting. If there's one meeting in our organization that our people look for now, is the monthly financial review, because they know they will have to come up with a good story, and it has to be a very good story. Right? So number one, I'm going to give you 5 things on how you can look at yourself as a regenerative leader. Number one is you need to look at this idea of what will I do just because I have the resources versus what can I do with what I have. Because when you look at the extraction versus regeneration, is all about how can I do something that will stay, that will be in the system even when I'm gone. Right? We all know, especially if you're from Maldives, you know, there are so many, from the government, from the private, and from the public. One of the biggest reasons why we are a little bit behind is that we don't create systems that will be institutionalized even if we are gone. In some areas we have, but some areas we have not. And I think that's where the governance part also comes in, right? You put systems in place so that if Aviv is gone, the place will run. Like today, I'm a group director of human resource for a hotel company, 3,500 employees. All my colleagues will make the decision. They know they don't have to even call me. The only reason they will have to call me if it is emergency, and I have even defined emergency for them. Emergency will be if there is fire, life safety, call me. Otherwise, don't call me. Right? Yeah, and I'm going to use some of our keynote speakers, like Hassan mentioned about the culture of failure. When I took a new HR team about 5 years ago, I used to hear their failures and their mistakes and their problems from other people, not from my team. And I told my team, look, you can mess it up, but tell me first. So when you tell me, I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to take responsibility to fix the problem. And I remember I did a master class on this, and I went abroad. I came back. My colleague who came to pick me up, he goes like, hi, Mr. Afif. I said, hi. I said, how are you? He said, good. Afif, I made a mistake. I said, here you go. Right? But today, they know, because that's how you get the best out of your people. Right? Because you let your people, and there are different examples around this. You let your people make mistakes, learn from it, so that they will be also better. Patagonia is one great example globally. When they started producing different products, their products is not just focusing only on what can be used for now. Their products, currently their product line, a lot of those products are sustainable products. Plus the products, they also liaise with a lot of local farmers who can be supported. it's an incredible story around. One of the important things I want everybody to know here is that even a small leadership role you have, whatever you do, do it in a way that it will stay there for a longer time, and make sure there is open loop and people can come and take and make it better. Raise your hand if you're from Maldives. Good, 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 good. I believe the rest, is where we have from Malaysia, right? From Turkey. Yeah. Is there any other country that I missed? Pakistan? No? Yeah. So in Maldives, we love talking about how great Singapore is, right? Don't we? Yeah, we do. How great is UAE? In the system, this is wired. So even if you're a managing director of a small company, you make sure that you do whatever you do. When somebody comes, they take it and make it better. Make it better, right? That's number one. Number two around this is AI will replace tasks but not human-centered leadership. We can use AI to do a lot of our work that we are doing already, routine work. But the AI cannot think like the way that Afif will think, because everybody in this room is a unique human being. We are all replaceable in the task that we do, but no one can create a human being like us. We are all replaceable, but not replicable, because you're very unique. There's, this conference can go around and find many speakers to speak. But there's only one Afif. You get the idea here? In fact, turn to the person next to you and say, nobody can replicate you. Tell them. Yeah. Because that's the reason why in today's world you have to live more like a human. You have to bring the human side of the human being, which I'm going to cover towards the end of my last part of the presentation, because Satya Nadella, when he was bringing the change one day in a town hall, he said that IQ, our intellectual ability without the emotional ability and to connect with people, is a complete waste. So while we can use some of the work that we do in in the work that we do around the IQ, but we still have to connect with people. I was talking to one of our presenters here earlier today. A week ago, I was in INSEAD Business School in Singapore. And so they had this master class for the MBA students on mentoring and networking. So they teach how the mentoring and networking happens. And then the students are sent to a cocktail party, to network with people. So I was one of those persons that they chose to be in there. To be, the students have to come and network with me. And then we would rate the students on the questions, the conversations that they have. Ask a question. Is that how our system works, and the way that, because we have to build the people for the future jobs, and the future jobs, a lot has to do with the character we bring in. And I think we're missing that element in the Maldives, and we have an opportunity here, right? We have an opportunity, and we have to do a little bit better, because the wisdom is something that cannot be replaced by the artificial intelligence, even how well we develop it. I mean, we talk about artificial, yes, it is intelligent, but not as intelligent, but we have a choice to do that. I do a lot of work around within AI, but when I'm not happy with something, I would go for a run and come back, I get better ideas than that. So it's a choice that we have. And don't let your thinking to be done by an AI machine, right? Use it for routine tasks, administrative things. The third idea is about regenerative leaders build teams, not individuals. It's not about what can I do, but what can our teams do. So it's about creating that culture whereby it's benefit for every single one. Here's an example. Of course, many of you probably would have heard about the Singapore, their whole digital circle is around called Smart Nation. And I'm so glad that something very similar like in Formula also they have. Right? Because in Singapore, there's something called the SingPass. Everything happens around this. Everything, right? The panel was discussing about those awareness sessions. And I remember, because the guy who developed this happens to be a friend of mine. When he developed it, he was telling me that his grandmom was always complaining that he didn't know how to use it. But they had awareness sessions that like in Singapore, if you have, by the way, you got to be a Singaporean to do that. So if you have a SingPass, you could actually do everything just through the SingPass. I mean, for example, if you go to a doctor and the doctor says, in 6 months, you will leave this world. You can plan your funeral and everything from the app itself. Yeah. Like, I mean, literally this happened in a hospital in Singapore whereby doctor said in 6 days you'll be gone. And the person looked at the Provident Fund and there's $60,000. On the bed, she could send the money to where she needed to do. So connected. I think there's only one city in this country that already have an app, some app like that. In fact, I don't know how many of you have this, but if you're not from Formula City 2, I just downloaded the app. It's called the Afon City. I'm so glad that there's something like this, because later I'm going to go for a run, and if I see any issues on the road, I'm going to also take a photo and post it. But you get the idea here, right? This is an example of regenerative leadership because your city mayor and your city council team is not waiting for someone to tell them to do this. How many of us as leaders are waiting for someone to tell us to do something? Right? It's not about resources because regenerative leadership is all about what can we do with what we have. Not what we are going to get. Because what we are going to get is not something that we could anticipate given how fast the world is changing, right? The other element is about how well are you able to adapt to the things that are changing in the world. Human adaptability is not something you can learn through AI. It's something you have to live through. It's something you have to adjust ourselves, right? And that's the reason why we need to look at how fast we can adapt. This is in the United Arab Emirates. Every school, see how quick they have done this? Every school is mandatory now for the students to learn AI from the primary to the secondary, high secondary education. Did anyone tell them to do this? No, because they saw the changes were happening, right? For example, earlier there was a conversation about the governance and how will we control this Gen AI and the stuff and the video. When the Middle East conflict happened in Dubai, as many of you know, probably a lot of this is so-called influencers lives there and they start making fake videos of the attacks and things like that. Dubai government in 24 hours jumped onto that, and the people who posted the video, they were able to detect it, and they in fact took them to the court. In fact, the first week there were 400 plus fake videos of the attacks. Today, there's almost none. Get the idea here? Ask the person next to you, do you get this? Ask them. Yeah. So it's not just about there is, of course, there's a resource part there, like earlier we said, but I think it's all about how fast we can bring that change, how fast we can move, how fast we can learn from it, right? Because we're talking about AI, because the surface level AI is all about the chatbots like the ChatGPT we use, or the Gemini, but the world has moved beyond that. We're talking now in developed countries about agentic AI. So, for example, one of my profession is professional speaking. I have a friend who speaks on branding, and he speaks all over the world. He has developed 6 agents for him. So when he's sleeping, these agents will wake up, and the agents are basically sending his speaking profile to other conferences in the world, and the agents will create the profiles, and the agents will reply to his email. Then, of course, he will send the final confirmation. Because if it was not there, he would probably have to do the work by himself, right? Which would take lots of time. Now he got more time for his kids, and more time for his family, more time for his country. Get the point here, right? So I think there's an opportunity here for all of us. And one of the last element around is that the future of leadership is not just the technology itself. It also needs to, we as leaders need to have a bigger purpose than what we are doing here. And the purpose has a lot to do with what's the world you like to see when you are not there, right? When the day when you are gone from the company, the community, or the world, what is the world you like to see? And it's a deep question. I know some of you may say, well, Afif, I don't know. I also don't know. Right? But the progress that we need to make has a lot to do with the connections we build, the way that we build, right? We were once told maybe 30 years ago, the best person in the room is the person who is the most intelligent person. Today, if you think you are the smartest person in the room, you have to move out of the room, right? So you upgrade yourself, right? In our company, when someone comes to me and say that, Afif, I got an offer from another company, and I would tell them, look, we can't give that because we can't match with the salary and the package and things. And I would actually say, well, look, we will promote you out of our company. Right? So there are people, so I never said, you should go. I said, no, I'm happy to promote you out of the company. Right? And, it kind of became like a policy term in our organization. Take a deep breath. What has been your biggest learning so far in this keynote as I've come into the last few minutes? Sorry, please. Have a 30-second conversation with your learning partner. And I believe that everything that I've spoken so far, we all can do it. But we need to change the mind of how we operate, right? And this is, I think, where my last few slides are for, because where the future is heading is not only about AI. It's also not only about human intelligence. There's one element that needs to come, because it's about the leadership intelligence. Because this is really how we are going to survive in the future. We all need to have these three things within our competencies, within the confidence level we build up. And there's, an important thing around is that all of us in this room, we need three things to live. One is we need competence to survive in today's world. Competence are skills. Number two is we also need confidence, right? Imagine a guy who's got so much competence but no confidence versus a guy who's got so much confidence, no competence. Both can mess up the world too, right? But there's one more thing you need. It's called confident humility, developed by Adam Grant from Wharton School of Business. And he says that confident humility is always knowing there are things that we don't know. We as, whether you are 20, 30 years in academia, 20, 30 years in practitioner, there are three things. We know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And the third, the worst is not knowing what we don't know. And I know some of you are saying, yeah, that made sense. Yeah, it did, of course. So these are a couple of things that I would like to leave all of you with, because if you can develop this, you will develop yourself in the sense of regenerative leadership. Number one is around empathy, because these are skills that that cannot be replaced by AI. How can we develop this idea within ourselves? It's not about a talking point, but how can we live by and practice that, right? One of the things that I've learned over the years is that when people want to talk to you about a problem, they're actually not looking for a solution from you. They just want you to listen. In my role as a HR person, now when colleagues come to me, I just give my time to them. And they come, I want to talk to you. I said, is it urgent? Yeah. I said, okay, I'll be there. Go and talk to them. And the situation is not as urgent. They just want someone to speak about it, right? This is also one of the biggest problems why we have issue of mental breakdowns in workplace, because we don't give the time we need, right? Leaders need moral judgment, because you can't create this through AI, right? The world needs lots of leaders who focus on ethics. And here's an interesting thing about ethics, right? I think, in the panel discussion, there was a whole conversation about, of course, Mauritius is 100% Muslim country. We are very blessed to be that. But here's an interesting thing about it, because integrity is all about doing things right when no one is watching. When you get yourself away from integrity and ethics, it has nothing to do with the role that you're in, because your role will simply expose yourself into those kind of things. But it's the standard you set for yourself. So we need to look at how moral we can be in the world where everything and anything people will find exciting, and that's how it operates. Courage is a skill AI cannot develop. The courage to ask questions, the courage to speak, the courage to let people know you don't know the answer, right? Like I always tell people, if you need something, ask. Good news will be either it's a yes, the bad news will be at least you have asked. Right? How many of us have a question that we want asked from somebody else, but we don't have the courage yet to ask? How many of you have one? Yeah, very good. So it'll be good after today's session. If you need to send a message to someone, ask them. Right? Yeah. The purpose of why we do what we do is, I think, an important element too that we need to develop. I mean, these are big topics that could be spoken for a long time, a while, but the whole idea, I think, of purpose is when we come to work every single day. There are one question I ask every day. How can I make my team a better place? That's the purpose. How can I, what can I do? What questions I ask them? What can I challenge them? And along the way, how can I create that mindset in my community, in my nation? Many of you here who has seen me, the level of community work I do around, because it's all about making other people better because of my presence. Trust is something AI cannot replace. It's a choice you have, right? And trust is not developed when you say, trust me. I remember many years ago when I joined a new company, I said, please trust me. Everybody looked at like, huh? You know how I created the trust? By doing things that matters most for them, not for me. Because that's how you do that. Because trust is not created by, just by giving more speeches, but it's about living the role model, doing those things, making sure that you follow up on what needs to be done. Cultural stewardship, Hassan spoke about this a lot because this is a lot to do with the culture that you bring in as a leader into the organization and the community. So we as leaders, we can create a culture whereby people are so scared that they don't want to try anything. We can bring a culture like whereby people have good ideas, but they don't want to share because they know the leader will not invest in that. The best ideas in your teams, community, nation comes from the leaders itself. It's the mass majority, it's your people. And it takes a leader to believe in that. Yes, AI can create inspiration, but those are inspirations that have already happened in the past. The human inspirations cannot be replaced by AI. So it's an important element for us to remember what sort of a mindset that we want to live by every day. Take a deep breath. Of those things that I've shared with you, inspiration, trust, courage, purpose, moral, values, right? Is there any other thing that you think AI cannot replace? If you think so, tell to your learning partner, please. Go. 30 seconds. Is there any skill that AI cannot replace? How many of you could think more than one skill that AI cannot replace? There are many, believe me, there are many. I mean, we don't have time to cover all of them. But also it's a choice we all have as human beings, right? I mean, I can tell you, in hospitality industry, I use a lot of them in my professional speaking, a lot of research. The time I used to do research now, the time is, because I could do that using AI. But the best thinking when it comes to a keynote like this, it all comes from my own thinking. I don't let it do the thinking, but I let it to fine-tune an idea that I may have, looking at the data and perhaps reviewing it from data that is already available. It's a choice that we have. So my last message to all of you is don't let the intelligence of technology and the digitalization in the world to take over the humanity in you. Because the world needs you. The world needs you because, after all, if there's anything great that have happened in the world, it all happened because of human beings like you and me, right? Every great idea came from a mess up we all created, right? Not a machine, yeah. And we are the biggest change makers that the entire planet will find, but it's a choice that we have. But also we cannot survive without technology. So we have to link ourselves to what is happening out there, how can we govern them, how can we live by them, and how can we use them. And one of the most important elements around is that the future is not just shaped by those who use the technology. It's the people who bring the best human or the best version of yourself to work. And the question that we all need to ask is that, what can I do to make my people, my place, my community better than I found them? Because the best leaders are people who leave people, community, place better than they found them. That's your role as a leader. That's regenerative leadership. Your role is to make people better, which means when you leave this conference also, get to know someone that you haven't spoken, right? Some of you already noticed that you haven't even met me, but I've gone and spoken to you already, right? And I know some of you wonder, who is this guy, right? Because who knows, right? What that conversation can create. Take a deep breath. What's the most important idea you got from my keynote? Talk to your learning partner, 30 seconds. The best idea for you. As I end my keynote, I thank the Zikra College team for giving me the opportunity to be here today and to speak to all of you. I love the work the Zikra College team does, their leadership. I had opportunity to do some work for them before, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here. And my presence here today is intentional, to be here, and that's why, because if you're a football fan, you know that Arsenal is the Premier League champion. And I'm a fan of Arsenal. I was supposed to be in London to watch the game today, but I looked at my calendar a week ago and I said, where should I be? In Arsenal or in here? This is the place to be, right? Yeah, exactly. Take your 2 hands up, everyone. 2 hands up. Rub it together. Rub. Clap 3 times. Say thank you to your learning partner. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. Mic not. Call not.
Thank you, Mr. Afif Hussain, for that energizing and empowering keynote. Your insights on regenerative leadership will undoubtedly inspire us all. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to our fourth and final keynote address for day one. I am honored to introduce Dr. Elif Baykal, Head of the Business Administration Department at Istanbul University, Turkey. Professor Dr. Elif Baykal is a professor of business administration and head of the Management and Strategy Department at Istanbul Medipol University. Her research spans organizational behavior, leadership, digital transformation, resilience, and strategic management. With a strong record of publications in index journals, she plays a key role in academic leadership and curriculum development in English medium business programs at Medipol, while also supervising numerous graduate theses. Dr. Elif Baykal's keynote is titled, Leadership Beyond Hierarchy, Designing Organizations Where People and Technology Co-Evolve. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Elif Baykal.
Yeah, it works. I am Professor Dr. Elif Baykal from Istanbul Medipol University. I am really very happy to be here. First of all, I should admit that it was my dream to be in Maldives in all my life. Actually, for Turks, it is something we romanticize in our mind, a honeymoon destination, something like that. So it was my dream, I am admitting that. And today I will be talking about my research area. I am an expert in leadership. Actually, I am both an academician and consultant. I have been working in HR business for more than 10 years. And now I am giving consultancy to 2 important Turkish aviation companies, Turkish Airlines and Sun Express. I am working with pilots about recruitment. Actually, my expertise is recruitment. And in the university, I am teaching organization theory and leadership. And my associate professor degree is from strategic management. What will I talk today? Actually, you will again listen leadership, but from an academic perspective. Actually, maybe it may be a bit more boring compared to the previous speech, because I will talk about leadership from an academic perspective. I will discuss how things evolved in time after we come across with AI and how leadership approach evolved. Actually, you know, in traditional leadership approach, we are talking about a more authoritarian style. We are talking about centralized organization designs, and order is our obsession. So discipline, order, authoritarian leadership styles, and top-down authority is very important. But now we are coming across with a word full of complexity, and we are coming across hybrid structures, remote work, and we are discussing faster innovation cycles. Actually, things changed since industrial era. Now we are not talking about top-down authority. And for those kind of cultures like Turks or many Eastern cultures, this authority change is really challenging. Actually, this isn't something we are used to. We are talking about flatter organization designs. And it's my expertise to talk about organization design. In PhD, I am also giving consultancy about that. Actually, now when we talk about successful organizations, we are not talking about the fastest changing or most digital ones. We are not talking about that. We are talking about those kind of organizations who can merge emotional intelligence and digital intelligence. So the hybrid coexistence of emotional intelligence, cognitive intelligence, and digital workout is important. And what about leadership? We are obsessed with connection, adaptability, and trust issues. And trust is something we should discuss because we could say that simply, I want to be more trustworthy or I want to trust my employees. It isn't so simple. First, I should create the necessary design, organization design, necessary leadership model so that people will trust me. My subordinates will trust me. And then we are discussing about collective intelligence, which is very probable when we use artificial intelligence. I can use digital technologies to create collective intelligence. By collective intelligence, I am talking about making meaning together, creating information together, understanding each other. And actually, now we are orchestrating systems and ecosystems. Actually, in our literature, in business literature, when we say system, people mostly understand group of companies, but now we are going beyond that. We are not merely discussing group of companies, we are discussing different ecosystems wherein we are building interesting strategic partnerships with sometimes NGOs, non-profit organizations, or companies from different industries, complementary industries or substitute industries, wherein we can make interesting ecosystems and we can earn together. And what about digital transformation? Actually, for years, digital transformation was about machines, automated machines making things easier or more productive. But now we are talking about not only efficiency and productivity, we are discussing something else. We are discussing easy access to information and creation of information. And we have some stresses. Actually, the most important problem related to digitalization, related to digital transformation, I am more comfortable now. The most important problem is we are experiencing too much stress and fatigue, digital stress. Actually, till morning we are discussing about different groups of employees or people who are experiencing stress with this digitalization. We are experiencing the same thing at workplaces as well. I will give you an example. During pandemic, when we first started online education, our senior professors were experiencing stress. Actually, they were not even able to start their classes, believe me. And we were helping them how to start the class, how to continue, how to conduct online exams. So it was a digital stress. And sometimes we are experiencing fatigue. Actually, I don't want to answer all these team calls. At the middle of the night, a team call came from one of my students, a PhD student calling me from Middle East. Habibi, I want to ask something, but why at this hour? 1 a.m., 2 a.m., Teams calls. So this creates digital fatigue, and we should also struggle with that. And about ethical problems, privacy issues. We are experiencing privacy issues. I don't want to disclose all my information. I don't want to everyone see every detail of my life. Even Instagram actually penetrates to our realm. special private realm. So we have issues like that. And what about face skill gaps? Many people feel that because of too much digitalization, I can't keep up with the novelties happening, and I don't feel myself self-efficacious or confident enough to keep up with the novelties occurring in the digital world. Maybe I don't feel myself educated enough. Maybe I am a bit elderly, that's why I don't feel that I can keep up with digitalization. And organizations feel the same thing. And the organization says, yeah, we have some skill gaps. And I can't find people who are competent in that digital issue, etc., etc. So we are struggling with that as well. And resistance to change comes from whom? Comes from those guys who are already happy with the current situation. They don't want to change their current situation. They don't want to learn new things. Even students, they don't want to try new programs. If we are using Teams, they don't want to use Google Meet, for example. It is easier, but they resist. So it's a point we should struggle again. What we should do? Actually, we should create an atmosphere wherein actually there should be a collaboration between AI developments and human capabilities. And I should create an atmosphere wherein decision-making, creativity, communication, and strategic thinking is possible through AI tools. Actually, I am updating my workflows. I am creating new designs and new leadership models. You know, when we say more updated leadership models in leadership literature, people understand positive leadership models. It was very famous for years after the Second World War, after 1980s. We actually, you know, these servant leadership models, authentic leadership models, any kind of positive leadership models wherein being ethical is very important. But now they are not enough. Being ethical, empowering your people, supporting them, these are important, but not enough. Actually, I should use technology because efficiency or creating intelligence or creating automated routines are not enough. I should create wisdom through human capability, and I should create purpose and vision for my organization. And employees are fearing. Why? Because I am fearing of losing my job. Maybe I feel myself not competent enough to keep up with the developments. So first of all, we should ease them. We should create a comfortable organizational climate wherein they feel safe. Psychological safety is important in that point. And what about Gen Z? They are maybe the most important problem in my country. I don't know about your country. But in Europe, in Turkey, in Middle East, Gen Z is the most important problem. We can't understand them. Gen Y. And I really can't understand them. They are very self-confident. They are very good at digitalization. They know every detail. They understand everything very quickly, but not patient enough. And they hate authority. They hate borders, restrictions, and they want to take part in strategic decision-making processes. They want to be a part of important issues in the organization, and they get bored too quickly. That's why turnover rates are very high. I don't know about your country, but in Turkey, turnover rates are really very high. People can't stay in the same organization more than 3 years. And sometimes only for the sake of changing their life, creating a new safe zone for themselves, meeting with new people, and trying their chance, increasing their wage levels, they change their jobs. And they use digital technologies too quickly for finding new jobs. For example, they are living in Bodrum and working in England. They are living in Ankara and working in Pakistan, for example, especially in IT industry, they find jobs very quickly if they are digitalized enough. And actually, we are trying to create an atmosphere wherein we can keep up with the social change in the community, especially understanding Gen Z and creating entertaining, satisfying work atmospheres for them, and understanding baby boomers. They are still in the workplace, still working with us, and they are resisting to change. They hate being a part of this digitalization process. They say, I am experienced enough, and you don't understand me. So I should build an organization climate wherein I can benefit from all these different generations and make the system comfortable for all of them. So, as a leader, the most important thing I need is expertise and relational intelligence. You know, this is more than emotional intelligence. Relational intelligence is about my power to get in touch with you, to understand different groups of people, the competency to get in touch with them, to understand them, to empathize with them. So I need relational intelligence. So shared leadership is one of the most important leadership models I am using nowadays, especially in, how can I say, in those kind of groups wherein we are using competent people, highly skilled people, for example, IT projects, or projects wherein we are using engineers or highly skilled employees, small groups, flat organization designs. We are utilizing people who are competent enough so that they feel they don't need a leader and they can act as a leader. And we are giving the chance to them, temporary chance, in different situations, in different time zones, to experience this leadership. So we are not talking about permanent, constant authoritarian leaders who are leading the group for a long time. We are talking about people who give the leadership role to different people in the group. So, for example, I am working in a project group with 10 people, and they have different skills. And these 10 people, during the project, for example, it's a 9-month project, these 10 people experience leadership roles in different months. This month, me, other month, Ahmed, other month, Ali, according to the need of the project. For example, I am good at accounting, and we have something to do related to accounting in the project, so I am taking the leadership role. The other guy is good at IT issues. He is taking leadership role when we are dealing with IT issues. So I am empowering everyone. They are feeling more self-confident, and I am sharing my authority. The leader of the group or department of the leader only have a symbolic leadership role. This is one of the tactics we are using in collaborative networks and decentralized organization models. And again, we are using digital leadership. Actually, I am trying to create a digital mindset in digital leadership. Actually, I am trying to create a culture of innovation. And I am trying to create digital literacy and digital self-confidence throughout the organization, not only in IT department. We are using this leadership model mostly in remote work. Actually, in remote work, you know, we are not using our workplaces. We are working from our homes, and we are using high technology. That's why creating a culture of digital literacy and innovation is very important in remote work. Actually, I am trying to build a strategic vision in digital leadership. I am trying to create cultural transformation through innovation culture and digital literacy. Again, I am human-centered, as in the case with all positive leadership models. And I am giving too much importance to data-driven decision-making. Actually, this is famous in evidence-based management, you know. In all these modern leadership models, including digital leadership, I am using evidence-based leadership model. So information should come from various different sources. I should use different information sources as evidence for my decisions. I should feel safe enough by making cross-checks. And AI is a very important tool for me to create evidence for my decisions. So digital leaders, of course, use AI too often. And I am creating psychological safety to make sure that even when people are working in remote work atmospheres, they feel as if they are working with me in the workplace. I'm not sure whether you have experienced that in Maldives or in Malaysia, but in Turkey, after pandemic, in some industries, for example, in banking industry, nearly half of the employees started to work from remote system. And when you ask them, how do you feel? What's the meaning of remote work for you? Very comfortable? For young ladies, it is comfortable. They are dealing with their babies. They are with their families. They can cook. They can share more time to their family. But after a certain time, 1 or 2 years, people started to nag about that. We are feel bored. We are feel as if we are excluded from the workplace. We feel as if we are in a secondary position compared to the guys who are working at office. We can socialize with our friends. I can see my manager, so he can't evaluate my performance very well. And I feel as if there isn't fair conduct. Maybe the reality is not that, but this is the perception. So in digital leadership, I am trying to create the psychological safety so that people feel that I have a fair attitude. I am supportive. I am mentoring them enough. When measuring performance, I am not process-oriented. I am output-oriented. So I am not obsessed with what you are doing during the project or before the deadline. I can see your work results at the end of the process, so feel safe. It's okay. It's okay that you spent 2 hours with your baby and then completed your project, no problem. So we are trying to create that kind of psychological safety in the new work system. Otherwise, people feel as if they are discriminated compared to the guys who are already working at workplace. And another development in leadership literature, neuro-leadership. Have you heard about the term before, by the way? I'm sure you have heard. I am asking the other participants, neuro-leadership. It's a bit interesting. You know there is neuroscience very famous in the last 5 or 10 years. Understanding brain processes, cognitive processes. You may say, what is the relevance between understanding brain processing and leadership? Actually, this is a new leadership model wherein the leader is competent about understanding the neuroscience and using neuroscience, the brain system, network systems of brain, and turning it into competent decision-making processes in change management processes. Actually, we are trying to bridge brain science with social cognitive processes so that we can ensure emotional regulation. In that point, I am not trying to ensure emotional regulation of myself as a leader. I am trying to regulate your emotions, the subordinates' emotions. So we are using some special tactics for that. Actually, one of them is evidence-based management, getting information from myriad sources, going beyond soft skills, and using cognitive processes to manipulate people. I'm not saying manipulate in negative sense, it is in positive sense. And I am using SCARF model. It is very famous in neuroscience. Actually, I am giving status to people. They feel themselves important. And I am giving certainty. They don't have question marks about processes. They understand all the process and they trust me and they trust the organization. By the way, when trusting the organization, actually the most important figure is the line manager, the first manager, not the top manager. So you should think about the department manager when we are talking about SCARF model. And I am giving autonomy, relatedness. Relatedness means job description should be so relevant, and fairness, so that people feel themselves more secure in highly digitalized atmosphere. They don't feel unfair treatment or insecure psychological climate in the organization. And there is one other tactic we are using in neuroscience, threat-reward response. You know, when I threat people so much, they feel as if their cooperation and creativity is inhibited. If I am exerting an authoritarian style, they feel as if they are restricted. Actually, I am inhibiting their innovativeness. And when I exert a cooperative style and give rewards, they feel more productive. So in neuroscience, we are mostly using these cooperative tactics by giving rewards rather than punishments. This is the mechanism neuroscientists use in neuroleadership model. Through this way, I am trying to create cognitive flexibility, emotional regulation, and adaptability of employees. And as a result, I am trying to create a more empathic atmosphere, more creative atmosphere, more ethical atmosphere, and I am making sure that people can make sense of their jobs. This is also our obsession in positive leadership models and positive psychology, again in neuroscience. I am trying to make sure that people find their jobs meaningful. What does it mean? It deserves doing that. If I am teaching, for example, in a university, I find it valuable to do that. I am not doing that for only money. I find it meaningful, reasonable, precious to do my job. Again, we are boosting emotional intelligence of people through neuroleadership. Actually, I am trying to boost human meaning and creativity. This is what I am targeting in neuroscience. And AI technologies help me to create lots of evidence. As I said before, I am using evidence-based tactics, and AI technologies gives that evidences, these multiple information that can come from digital sources. Actually, there are some design metrics I am using as well. Besides the leadership models, I am also changing design models of the organization. For example, network organization. Actually, decentralized organization designs, not very authoritarian, flatter, lower managerial levels, contribution of employees to decision-making processes, and I am creating fluid and collaborative teams or project groups. This is network organization. Actually, in network organization, I don't have traditional top-down hierarchy. I have a democratic, benevolent, supportive, coach-like manager, mentoring their employees, helping them, behaving as brothers or sisters, not punishing, supporting the employees rather than punishing them or giving doctrines that threaten them. This is a model of network organization. Mostly we use in project teams or in global organizations. In international organizations, we are also using this kind of matrix models. The structure is so flexible. I am using information technology dependence to get information from different parts of the network. I can create the system in a virtual mode. Rather than using a classic network organization, I can create a virtual network organization. This is also possible. And if it is a virtual network organization, digital form of leadership and AI technologies can be very helpful to control the whole system, because controlling these kind of systems are not very easy. They are not with me. We are not in the same headquarters. I can see all those guys. They are not coming at 8 a.m. and going back to their homes at 6 p.m. So in order to control them, I need some digital technologies. And the units are so autonomous, and the system, decision-making system, is so decentralized. Actually, I should have a systems thinking as a leader to control this decentralized work model. That means I should see the interdependencies, feedback loops, and I should organize the company in a way that I can create some kind of harmony between different business modes. Actually, I am using some, how can I say, autonomous intelligence techniques to run the system, to change the system from a static mode to a more, how can I say, mobile and changing mode. It should be updated automatically. So the system should have the competency to update itself, because as the manager, as the central manager, since the system is so decentralized, I can't update everything in time. I need help. I need digital and technological help to update the system. And I need to automate some complex tasks, and I should provide some predictive analytics, because I should make calculations to inhibit some problems, and I should create collaboration between decentralized networks and groups in my organization. Actually, when I check network operations, I can see that through the use of AI, I am using some predictive maintenance systems. Actually, I am changing my system from a reactive mode to a proactive maintenance mode. I am using intelligent automation systems, and I am converting the system for IT department in a way that they are not spending time for routine tasks. Routine tasks are done by the AI technology. They are concentrating all their energy to innovative projects and creative tasks. And, excuse me, actually for the departments, apart from IT department, maybe for human resources management department or marketing or sales departments, actually I am using AI for expert identification. I let AI technology to scan the whole organization, find the most meaningful part of information that I can use in my projects or departments. I am using AI for collective reasoning. That means I am collecting information from departments and using in mutual projects. And I am using it as an assistant in meetings. So I give routine tasks to AI and concentrate my human wisdom to more creative and innovative projects. This is my target, at least now. We don't know about future, but now. And I am using synthetic talent. Actually, synthetic talent means I am delegating all routine tasks, all those kind of operational tasks that people think it's unnecessary, boring, not very worth it to doing, not very meaningful to spend time. I am delegating all these tasks. Actually, those white-collar people mostly say they are unnecessary tasks. They find them unnecessary. To synthetic talent, the AI can do that on behalf of us. And again, I am using data mesh integration. That means I am creating data warehouses wherein for each different department, different warehouses are created, so personalized decision-making processes are possible. And I am reshaping teams. How? Actually, it's also interesting. For example, I am working in HR, but I I can, through AI technologies, I can use some technological skills and I can transfer some skills of IT department in human resources management department. Or I am working in marketing department. I don't know too much things about accounting. Through AI, I am transferring their competencies to marketing department. That's why some people say, I am writing codes. Whereas how? How can you write code? Through AI. Or I am making analysis in Topsys and Dematel. How? Through AI. So it may be seen a bit irrelevant when looked from around, but in reality it is possible. So while working in a completely different department, I can utilize skills of some other department in my own unit or in my own project group. And actually, I am using AI for proactive security. So security systems are possible through AI technologies. And I am optimizing my quality standards, again, through digital technologies. So before finishing my words, I will not have too much time of you. Actually, I am trying to say that through designing my organization and changing my mindset about leadership models, I can use digital technologies and AI technologies in a way that people don't lose unnecessary and irrelevant time for operational and routine tasks. They can concentrate all their energy to sense-making and creative activities, and through this way they can be more successful. Thank you very much. I don't want to waste too much time of you. Actually, I want to say that I am really very happy to be with you in here. So I thanks to all leaders and researchers of Zikura College. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elif Baikal, for that forward-thinking and inspiring address. The ideas you have shared on co-evolution of people and technology will certainly resonate with our participants. I now invite Mr. Ahmad Nafis, Rector of Zikura International College, to hand over the token of appreciation to Mr. Afif Hussain as he has to depart tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to our parallel sessions. ICT HM 2026 features both face-to-face and online sessions running concurrently across multiple rooms. Please refer to your program booklet for room and session assignments. Rooms 3 and 4 are dedicated to online sessions. We wish all presenters and moderators a productive and engaging session. We thank all our keynote speakers, panelists, moderators, presenters, and participants for their excellent contributions today. Tomorrow, Day 2 of ICT HM 2026 will begin at 8:45 a.m. We look forward to welcoming you back for another day of insightful discussions, keynote addresses, and panel sessions. Please do have a restful evening, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
komme mahako bappa trust kore choose kollam. Ebba faharu vara belung spend kollam. Ekamaku nukuram.
Därför hänger det ett få där ni var gott och degen.
So I gave time for my dream. Thank you. So I gave time for my dream. Thank you. I want that bike. Ahanna furatama felu iru tea only a bike. Akam miharu tea mage first dream. And I built you saving 1 rufiya at a time.